Welcome to the Just Brave podcast. I'm super excited to introduce today's guest. At 31 years old, Lindsey VanZandt is a professional MMA fighter with a remarkable journey. She was born and raised in New York, and she pursued her passion for fighting against the odds, overcoming her family's opposition. Lindsey's career boasts incredible highlights, including fights at iconic venues like Madison Square Garden for Bellator and the Saitama Arena in Japan for Rizin, along with competing for Invicta FC. Her dedication to the sport led her to Arizona, where she joined the renowned Fight Ready gym. However, a severe concussion sidelined her for a year and a half. During this challenging time, Lindsey discovered Pranic healing, a practice that not only aided her in her recovery, but also reignited her passion for coaching and helping others to heal. Now fully immersed in coaching, Lindsey finds joy in guiding others on their path to success, both in and out of the cage. Though her future in fighting remains open, with a possible return if the stars align, her current focus is on making a positive impact through coaching, healing, and inspiring others. Welcome to today's episode, Lindsey.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. So I just want to start off and say that I met Lindsey about just over a year ago at Fight Ready, and she is just full of energy and light. And the more I've gotten to know her, I just really respect and admire her for the way that she is just open and passionate about life and so open to helping everybody around her. So she is not only an amazing fighter, but human being as well.
Thanks, girl. You're so sweet.
So let's get started. What is something that most people don't know about you?
Good question. Damn, you already started off with a hard one. I mean, I would probably say like the pranic healing thing is the most newest part about me that not a lot of people know that I'm doing. That's probably like, yeah, I'm pretty open book. I just kind of speak my mind and put everything out there. I guess more personal level stuff that I probably wouldn't share on here anyway. But other than that, I'm pretty open book.
Well, we'll get more into the pranic healing, so I'm excited to talk more about that.
Yay.
So your journey into MMA has been pretty unique, especially with your family's opposition early on. I'm curious, how did you stay committed to your passion for fighting in face of that adversity that you faced from your family?
I think that like I just loved the sport so much and I just knew it was something that like my soul and that I like wanted to do and I still love doing and coach. I'll do it the rest of my life. I just love MMA so much that I'm like either the people who love me are going to accept it or I'm just going to have to kind of separate myself a little bit. And so it was my dream and I did it and eventually I mean, it took about 8 years for my family to realize that I am not giving it up and they're going to have to face it and realize that if they want me in their lives, that they're going to have to accept it. So we all choose our own lives. So you got to stand up for yourself because you're living this life right now. Like you have to make your choices. It wasn't easy. Like I cried a lot because I was like, oh my God, my mom thinks I'm going against her. And I would cry so many times. Even my friends would be like, oh my God, I can't believe your parents are like, it's like, no, like they're amazing parents. This is just the one thing like just don't agree with. And they think that they're protecting me because it's like obviously fighting's not great. I'm getting injured and stuff. So I get why they don't like it. But I'm just like, please just support me in doing it. So yeah, it was really hard. It was a lot of emotional battles too, but we got through it.
Yes, and I'm so glad you did because you've been able to do a lot of amazing things. Speaking of which, you've been able to fight at the venues like Madison Square Garden and Saitama Arena. How did faith and mindset play a role in keeping you grounded during such high-stake moments at those iconic venues?
I think the biggest thing is believing in yourself. And it's probably like, okay, yeah, duh. But it really is that because I mean, it also is having the people also that's in your corner believe in you as well. And I think finding a good like coach in your corner to really back you up and make you feel confident going in is a big deal as well. And then also just preparation. I put so much time and I know I put all that I could before I got out there on those mats, like everything. I put everything out there. I trained so hard. I was the person who you had to calm down to get off the mat. So I knew that I did everything I could. And to me, the fighting part is the fun part because that's why you get to show your skills and you get to test yourself. It's really not for anybody else. I mean, yes, it's an entertainment sport. I want to be entertaining, but for me, it's to prove to myself like, hey, I can do this. So that was always my thing. If I was nervous going out there, it was more because of the fear like of not performing. So I'd have to tell myself like, hey, you got this. And it's all for yourself, right? Like if you're doing it for anybody else, then you're not doing it for the right reasons. So yeah, for me, it was just believing in myself and finding that confidence. Because as a smaller girl, like
Mhm.
in this sport, I never really, it took me a while to find my confidence. Let's just say that, because I didn't have people my size training, like training partners. And the people who I did go against were bigger or they were guys, so they were stronger than me. So I was never sure if they were letting me do things or if I was actually getting these moves, because I just never knew, hey,
Mhm.
am I actually getting this or not? And then once I got in there against girls my size, I'm like, I'm doing good. Like I
Yeah.
remember my first pro fight, I got a takedown. It was so easy. And I was like, damn, that was really easy. Like thinking that in the fight, that was really freaking easy. But then in other positions, I was like, oh, it's harder. Like trying to pass a girl's guard is way harder than a guy's guard or someone who's bigger than you because there's more space. So I did see that too, where I was like, well, I cannot pass here. I'll just
Mhm.
stand guard. But yeah, so it's just different body types, different sizes. I mean, it's just fun. It's figuring it all out. It's like life, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. I love how you mentioned the working hard in addition to believing in yourself, because if we sit on the couch all day and we're like, I believe in myself, having the positive affirmations all day, those don't work unless we
Yeah.
take action. And knowing that
Yeah.
you had put in the work, the hours in the gym, I'm sure that helped boost your confidence and aligned yourself with your belief. Huge
Definitely.
thing.
I've
Um,
always been a hard worker at everything I've done. Nothing ever has really come easy to my life. I've always had to work really hard for it.
I think sometimes in the moment we can see that as a negative, like we just can feel burnt out and when's life going to be easy, but life's never going to be easy. And then when we look back at all the hard work we've done, then we're grateful for it and for where it's taken us.
Yeah, that's a good point too. We choose our battles in life. We choose what's going to be hard, right? Like fighting is not an easy sport. We chose it. We didn't have to. We
Mm.
could have decided to sit on the couch and do nothing, or like pick an easy job, 9 to 5, and go home and chill. But we didn't. We picked fighting because that's what we want to conquer.
Yeah, good point. I think a lot of people in the fighting space, they have that internal drive. And do you think that that's something that people are just naturally born with, or is that something people can acquire?
Probably both. I believe that we all come down, like we have our name picked already, our souls picked our own names, and we have what our life purpose is, and then we're just trying to find it. And then you can tell when people find it because they're so passionate about it. Like I know what I'm supposed to be doing because I'm so passionate about it. And I've tried to stop before, and I've always just kind of jumped right back on the path. So I think someone's doing the right things when they're so passionate about it and happy and figuring it out even when it's hard, because that's what your soul wants, like just your craving. So I think that you come down with some of this stuff because that's what your soul wants to live and figure out in life and learn lessons from. But I definitely think you can find it too. That's probably part of that soul's purpose too. Like, hey, you don't have it, how do you find it? There's just so many things going
Mm,
on.
yeah, 100%. Your career with fighting was interrupted by a severe concussion. I want to talk about that for a little bit. What was it like mentally and emotionally to step away from fighting for a year and a half? And how did you maintain hope during that time?
It was hard. I had some ups and downs with it for sure. In the beginning, I just knew it happened for a reason, but I didn't know why it happened. And then once I found Pranic healing, I was like, oh, this is why it happened. And I had to find Pranic healing. So that was kind of like how it justified in my mind. But even then, it was hard because I had to deal with coming back and then getting injured again and coming back and getting injured again. So then I kept thinking, okay, I'm not supposed to come back yet.
Mm.
Like my soul's like, no, stop. You need to do other things right now. So I've been focusing on other life stuff, but it was definitely hard. 'Cause, the biggest thing for me is just I couldn't do what I wanted to do. I couldn't train. Even coaching was hard. Even 8 months out, I would go and try to drive down the road and throw up. Like I'd have to pull over to throw up. So it was really bad. If I exerted too much energy coaching, I'd have to throw up. It was bad. So yeah, but I just knew I could get past it. And then I was just thinking about people who, I mean, obviously I didn't ask for this concussion, but I am in a sport where I know I could get concussed. So I'm like, okay, I knew it could happen. But like, if you're in a car accident and you get concussed, and now this person's like, all of a sudden their life is changed because they can't even function. I started feeling for those people because I'm like, oh my God, like your life can change so fast. And so
Mhm.
I guess finding Pranic healing really changed my life because now I feel like I have tools I can help myself and others deal with those kind of things. So yeah, it was life changing. I wouldn't change it for the world. It would have been nice to keep fighting, but I'm at peace with fighting again or not fighting again at this point. The biggest thing I would say that was a hard thing to deal with was my ego during this process because I just always wanted to go back, and I made a mistake and went back way too soon, like 8 months in. I went back and fought again. And at
Wow.
that point, if you hit me in the shoulder, I'd feel concussed. And so I shouldn't have fought like everybody told me I shouldn't have, but I didn't listen. I'm stubborn. Like I'm a stubborn ass fighter, man. So dealing with my ego and saying, hey, no, you can't fight now. Like stop. That was really hard. And then just dealing with the ego is that I think that was a fun lesson to learn.
Yeah.
Like it's gonna keep biting you in the butt if you don't freaking listen. So
Yeah.
I eventually listened, and now I'm just having fun doing pranic healing and coaching. And I do have the itch to go back, but I will see. I don't know. I'm kind of at peace with whatever happens. So if something presents itself and I can train again the way I want to train, then I'll definitely jump in. Coaching is so amazing too.
Yeah, I going through adversity, a lot of times it helps us change our perspective on life and also our purpose. And it kind of opens up different pathways where, like you mentioned, you wouldn't have found that chronic healing. You maybe wouldn't have been coaching the clients that you're coaching now, the people who need you the most. And yeah, setting that ego aside, definitely something that I think every single fighter can relate to, or, you know, just people in general, even if you don't fight. The ego is a challenge that each of us get to work through.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So you mentioned the pranic healing. First of all, what is pranic healing? Kind of tell the listeners a little bit about what that is. And then how has it helped you to shift your mindset about life in general?
So I've grown up Catholic. So you know, everybody has their religions and stuff, I guess. Through pranic healing, I'll get into the healing modality part of it, but I feel like I've learned a lot from the people that have been teaching me about your soul's purpose and all that afterlife and all that kind of stuff. There's a lot of lessons through it. A lot of it's through like Buddhism and stuff like that. But it's not a religion. I mean, we can get onto this crazy topic of like, I don't really believe in a religion. I think that kind of messed everybody's minds up, and all religions are one, really. And we all believe in God and our higher soul, and we all just call it different things. Mm-hmm. So in my opinion, that changed for me. And I grew up Catholic, but I was never like, oh my God, I have to go to church and I have to I knew there was something else that I was missing. And I've learned a lot spiritually. I would say I'm spiritual now. I wouldn't say I'm Catholic. I would say I'm spiritual. I learned a lot about that and like meditating and stuff like that. And that's a really helpful tool. And I wish I learned meditating way earlier in my life, but it all comes in the right timing. So I'm very grateful that I know how to meditate now. And it's something we can all learn and still practice. I'm not great at it. I'm still learning. But it's definitely something that's changed my life, because when the going gets tough, if you can just quiet your mind, and it just helps you get answers and it just helps you through it. It definitely is a tool that I wish I had for fighting as well. Like just before you get in the cage, being able to meditate and be at one and with yourself, ready to go in there. I think that's definitely would be a good thing to have. So yeah, that's really changed for me. And then pranic healing is energy. We're all light bodies. So light is energy, those frequencies, all that stuff. But there's also higher beings like angels and guides. Pranic healing, all it is healing with your hands. There's no physical touch. It's just moving energy in someone's body. So I could heal someone in front of me. I can heal someone at a distance. It's all intention, calling on the above divine goddess and all those beautiful people up there to help heal through me. So it's like I'm a vessel and they just heal through me. So it's really cool because you can help a lot of people doing that. And the second I found pranic healing and I did one healing on myself for my brain, I felt instantly better. Before I found pranic healing, I went to a concussion specialist, all these people, no one could help me. They were just testing and, hey, you need to do this, you need to do that, supplements, this, that. They told me I was depressed, and it was a really crazy process. I'm like, I'm not depressed. I'm frustrated that I can't do what I love right now. And yeah, they were like, we're gonna put you on antidepressants, and that was my line. I was like, I'm done. I'm not coming back here. Like, you guys are not listening to me. Like, you don't feel like yourself when you have a concussion. Like, you feel like you have like almost like an out-of-body experiences and stuff. Like, you just don't feel like you're in your body fully. It's weird. But no one was listening to me and no one could help me. And then, thank God, I found pranic healing. And so now it makes so much more sense because they forget the whole part of energy in your body and not just dealing with the physical things that we can see. And I guess that's why it's hard for a lot of people to understand pranic healing or other healing modalities, because you can't see the energy. Some people can, but not all of us can, or not all of us can feel it either. And the cool thing about practicing it is that the more you do it, the more you can feel it. So it's everything is a learning process, right? It's anything that you do in life, the more you do it, the more you understand it, the more you feel it, the more you get it. So yeah, that's a little tidbit about that.
Yeah, that's so cool. I'd never heard about pranic healing before I met you, but yeah, it makes sense. There's different parts of spirituality or meditation or connecting with who we truly are that I think pranic healing can really help with. And like you mentioned, there's, left brain people, there's right brain people, there's people who might see the pranic healing as like woo-woo stuff.
A lot of people think I'm a witch, and I'm like, no, I'm not. Right. A good way if you want to say it that way.
Right. And that's a good point with identities and labels from other people and also ourselves. I think a big part of letting go of our ego is going through those different identity shifts and phases of our life almost. What's a piece of advice you would give to somebody who is currently experiencing an identity shift, whether that is with religion or just their profession or any part of how they view themselves?
This is a good one. This one really helped me. And I learned this in Pranic healing, is that we are a soul. We are not this body. We are not these emotions. We're not these thoughts. We are a soul, and our soul is here to experience. And the way to experience is through all those things. So when you can slow something down, like in the moment, you're getting so upset about something, you can realize I am not these feelings, but I'm feeling these things right now, but these are not me. This is for the experience. So if you can slow it down and be like, okay, and just kind of figure out what's going on. Hey, how can I get through this? What do I need to do? And just forget about how you're feeling and just really be in the moment and figure out what you have to do in that moment. I went through the identity thing with the ego too. So it sucks. Like I'm not a fighter. I am not just a fighter. I'm not just, a daughter. I'm a soul. Mm-hmm. And so we're just all here to experience, and our souls put us here to experience. Like we pick our families. We want to experience these certain experiences. So when you're born into poverty or you're born into bad situations, your soul wanted you to figure that out. Maybe in a past life, there's something bad with that. And then they're like, you need to experience the opposite end of it. You're supposed to be here to experience those things. So experience them. And it's okay that it sucks sometimes, because when you get through it, you're going to learn lessons about it. We don't grow unless we experience things. It definitely helped me with a lot of experiences in life now that I understand that. Because before not understanding that, you're like, why is this happening to me? Like we always say, why is God doing this? Because you need to experience it and you need to learn from it. So it's not always a bad thing. It's something that it changes your life. Like it makes you a better person after, hopefully. And if not, then you're probably going to learn it again until you do get it. And then you'll finally experience it.
Yeah, just like how you handled the situation with your concussion, using that for you instead of against you by, coaching others and finding pranic healing and practicing that. I think that's huge. That's a big part of shifting our perspective on our purpose. And yeah. I think a lot of people struggle with finding their purpose, especially after setbacks. What advice do you have for those trying to rediscover their passion after experiencing a challenge in their life?
I would say meditate. Meditation is so powerful. And, every time I mention it, I just plant seeds with everybody like, hey, you should meditate. Like, it's so powerful. And until you experience it and you're consistently doing it, you don't feel it. And everybody's like, oh, well, I can't quiet my mind. But it's okay, because eventually you'll be able to, but you have to just keep trying and keep teaching your brain that, hey, you want to connect with your higher self. Your higher self is guiding you. And if you want to hear it, you have to sit in quiet to hear it. So if you need help and you're like, I don't know what to do in this situation, sit in quiet and listen to your higher self. Listen to yourself. That's helping you. Listen to your guides. Listen to your angels. They're trying to help you through your situation. But we're all so crazy that we don't hear them. So yeah, sometimes we get concussed because they're like, wake the hell up. Like, you're not listening to us. We're trying to help you. So then they hit you in the head, so you wake up. Like you'll listen eventually, but the easiest way is not to get concussed and to just meditate.
I totally resonate with that. I got concussed earlier this year, and I was just in the midst of trying to do a million things at once, and I feel like it took me getting hit in the head to be forced to not do anything.
Yeah, you're like, okay, I'm listening now. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
I got it.
Something that really helped me with the meditating was not being so judgmental of the thoughts when I would try to sit in quiet, instead of being like, oh, I'm not supposed to think anything right now. And like, dang it, I keep thinking about stuff. It's just kind of taking a step back and be more observational about it and seeing my thoughts as the leaf on a stream of water or something, just like letting them go through my head. So that visualization can also be helpful for people trying to meditate.
That's awesome. Yeah, not being judgmental of yourself. That's awesome. Because yeah, I remember when I first started too, and I was like, oh, why can't I do this? But when you actually start thinking like that, you'll never be able to do it. You have to just like, okay, I'm here. And when you try too hard is when it doesn't. I like that. Don't be judged. I always like to think of it like whatever thought is coming, I'm supposed to process and let go. So, okay, why am I having this thought? And usually it's random, right? It just comes up out of nowhere. And you're like, why the frick am I thinking about this? So like something that you did maybe bothered you, and like you have to forgive yourself and let it go. And then that will leave. And then it goes. And now you only have like 3 more thought forms. Then you get rid of them and now you're in quiet. So it's like kind of like, oh, why is this here? Okay, I need to let it go. Oh, I need to forgive myself. Oh, I need to forgive somebody else. Okay. And then it just goes, and then you're like, okay, now I can sit in quiet.
And you get to experience that peace.
Yeah. And it's beautiful. So beautiful.
So shifting back to MMA, how do you teach your students to develop the right mindset to succeed both in fighting and also just in life?
I always like to start with what's your why? What's your goals? Because everybody has different goals and I can't read people's minds. So if I don't ask, I don't know. So it's hard to be a coach if you don't know exactly what they're looking for or what they want. If I'm trying to coach someone because they want to be a professional one day, but then I find out that they just want to try it once or something, I have to ask their goals first so that I know how I want to coach them. Even with kids, right? Like kids are hard because they don't even know what they want yet, right? But I ask them, hey, why do you do this? Why do you want to do this? And then it's hard because then you have your parents do like what they want, right? So then you talk to the kids separately, I talk to the parents separately, and I figure out, okay, what's actually happening here? Like, what does this kid want? Is a kid coming just to class because their parents are making them, or because they actually want to do this one day? They actually really love it and they have a passion for it. So that's a better example where I'm just like, okay, I'm going to coach a kid that wants to compete differently than I'm going to coach someone who's just chilling and enjoying and trying to be a hobbyist. I'm going to coach those two kids differently, or two adults differently. So I guess goals is the first thing I ask. And then what else? Mentally wise too, everybody's struggling with something. Sometimes it's confidence, which I can really relate to. So I'm like, hey, why don't you believe in yourself? I don't feel like I trained hard enough. Some kids will be like, I'm not ready. I feel like I'm not ready. Well, did you pay attention in class? Were you here when you were, because like some kids just space off. I'm using kids as an example because it's easier, right? And adults do this too, right? So like they just space off and they're not actually present when they're there. I'm like, are you learning or are you just here? Did you do extra drills after class? Like, are you putting everything that you can into this? Are you thinking of moves on your own when you're like going to bed or something? Like how passionate are you about it? How much do you want it? Right? And then when you drill hard enough and you know you're putting everything you got into it, the confidence is easy because you know you did everything you could to get there. So I kind of explain it that way. You have to put the work in and you have to really want it. And if those are not aligned, it's not gonna be the outcome that you want. And even then, like fighting's fun too, right? Because even if you work really hard and you really want it, you can still lose. So that's fun too. Because then you're like, okay, well then what's this lesson here, right? So fighting is interesting. I have kids that come in and they're like, oh my God, I have so much homework to do. And I'm like, do it after or do it before class so you don't think about it. You have to be here. There's so many steps in jujitsu moves, right? Or even like Muay Thai, there's already so much going on. If you're thinking about what you're doing or what are you eating later, you're not there or you're not going to get it. And then you get frustrated at yourself because you're like, why am I not getting this? Well, you're not present. So there's so much going on. It's hard, but those are the things I kind of look at to help people get present, be here. And the biggest thing I tell people too is to journal. What did you do good today? What do you want to learn? What do you need help with? I always ask my kids in class and they still don't, they take a little bit longer. I'm like, hey, does anyone have any questions about today? No one has any questions. You should all have questions, guys. You should all have questions because if you don't have questions, are you really thinking about what you're doing and how you're doing it? And if this doesn't work, why isn't this working? And what can I do better? So there's always a question. So I keep trying to teach the kids that as well because you need to have questions.
I love the outlook of having curiosity in life, just how that aligns with how badly you want something. If you're not curious about it, you're not taking that initiative on your own to become the best that you can at that thing, then I guess you probably don't want it as badly as you say you do. It's that whole thing of your actions speak louder than words, right? I remember in college, one time I was walking down the hall with my friend and we were going to audition for a drumline group and I hadn't made it to the audition and I had some, excuse. And then he was just like, well, if you really wanted it, you would have found a way to make it happen. And I was like, damn.
Busted.
I'm like, I guess I didn't want it as badly as I thought I did. So, which is okay, because we shift and there's different seasons and things for each part of our life.
Yeah, then it wakes you up and you're like, okay, should I try again? Yeah, no, that's awesome. It's so true though. I live by that saying, where there's a will, there's a way. If you really want something, you will do it. So excuses are just, trying to figure out what you actually really want.
I like that. So paying attention to what excuses are coming up for you and then just trying to refocus on what you really do want. That's huge in anybody in life. And then having that presence on top of all of that to be able to really hear your true self and hear your purpose, that's going to be a big help as well.
Definitely.
So, last few questions here. Looking back at your journey, what has been the biggest lesson that faith has taught you about overcoming adversity?
I guess something I can say I'm really proud of is, you kind of mentioned it before, is like sticking to who I am and like believing in myself and following my dreams. Because there's so many people that are gonna doubt you. Oh my God, there was so many people saying, like people talking behind my back, coaches, friends, like I don't even know why she's fighting. This is stupid. Like I can't believe she's doing that. Like, dating, all that stuff. Like, there's just so many things that people are like, oh, you can't fight. Like, nobody's gonna want to go out with you because you're a fighter, or you're a girl, you have cauliflower ears and muscles and so many things like beating up your body for no reason, or like you just suck, or I don't know. So many people who are gonna doubt you and tell you so stupid ass shit, but like you have the power. It doesn't At the end of the day, it doesn't matter what they think because you're living your own life and they're living their own life, and we're all in our bubbles, but we're all connected in a weird way. So it's complicated, but you'll be way happier if you just listen to yourself and do what you want. And help people along the way. Like, obviously, you have that service aspect too. But the biggest thing is if you're not doing what you want in life and you're going to make excuses that, oh, well, this person said, or even if it's your family and that's where it's hard, your parents are like you doing it. Okay, cool. If I didn't do this, I probably would have been miserable doing something else. So, I mean, there was a year or two in there where I tried to do CrossFit, and so I'm like, maybe my parents will be cool if I was a CrossFit athlete. And all I still talked about was fighting at work, and people were like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "This is stupid." Like, so along the way, I just always felt that like you're always gonna kind of be drawn back to what you're supposed to do. And until you do it, you're not going to be happy. It's like people working jobs that they don't like. Yeah, you don't like it because you're not supposed to be doing it. So until you find what you like, and you have to pursue it, you can't be like, oh, well, I have to work a 9 to 5 to pay my bills. No, find a fucking way. Like, sorry to be blunt, but like, everybody has excuses. Well, I can't. Well, you actually can. I hear people say I can't. That's like my pet peeve. I actually make kids do push-ups in class when they say I can't. Like, I think it's worse than fuck you, to be honest, because I can't is like saying you can't. Like, what? You can. You can do whatever the fuck you want. Like, wake up. That's the biggest thing is like, dude, you can do whatever you want. And there's no excuse. I'm living my best life. Like, I'm figuring stuff out, right? Doing what I can and what I want. Like, I got a little puppy the other day. People think I'm crazy that I got a little puppy, but I don't care because
It's worth it.
I'm still gonna learn lessons from her because obviously it's gonna be hard sometimes. I'm not gonna want to clean up the poop. But at the end of the day, I just remember I chose her. And it's okay.
Wow. Yeah, that's a good point too. We choose our adversity, maybe like our past self.
Yeah. And then we complain about it. But it's like, no, you chose this.
Right. Yeah, that goes with my favorite scripture about many are called, few are chosen. And it's just about being willing to face the challenge and adversity because your peace is on the other end of that. And I just think having that mindset can be helpful when you remember that, okay, no, like I chose this, even though it sucks right now and I don't understand the why or the how I'm going to get through it, there's still purpose to be found in it. Yeah, I'm going to challenge everybody to do a push-up whenever they catch themselves thinking I can't.
10 push-ups. When they say I can't, 10 push-ups.
10 push-ups, guys.
Yes, yeah.
I love that. Speaking of 10, this is a question I like to ask everybody. What would your 10-year-old self feel or think if they saw you in the life that you have today?
My 10-year-old self think? You go, girl.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's cool being where I'm at now because I didn't realize how much I accomplished and how much I did until I kind of slowed down and looked at what I've done. Because in the moment, it all happened so fast. And so, yeah, my 10-year-old self would be like, damn, girl, you did it. And yeah, I can still do more. And I always dreamed of winning a belt and stuff like that. So maybe that's still ahead of me. It'd be cool if it was, but we'll see. Like, I love helping others more now. And at least now when I punch someone in the face and they get a concussion from me, I could be like, I can heal you after. Because I guess that's like the biggest thing for me. I even looking back on fights, like I know I don't like hurting people. In a weird way, it's fun. But now, like, it's also lessons, too. That's always the way I looked at it, too, fighting someone else. I was like, oh, you're so nice. How do you fight? And I'm like, well, they signed up for it. Yeah. I signed up for it, and I don't see it as being mean. I see it as a sport. I'm just like, well, they're trying to hit me, and I'm trying to hit them. So I've always seen it as a sport. One of my fights, I got a TKO in 26 seconds, and I kicked a girl's kneecap off. And so she fell to the ground, like, screaming. And I went to go finish it, and I stopped, and I really, like, that I was so awesome for not hitting her again. And I was like, well, yeah, she waved me off, so I'm not going to hit her again. She was done. And then after I was in the back crying with her because I knew she had a knee issue like a year prior that she got over, and then obviously that happened. Then I did that to her, and I was like, I feel so bad. I'm so sorry. I wish it was your arm, something stupid. Like I was just joking around with her. But I was crying in the back and I'm like, I'm so sorry. She's like, it's fine, it's fine.
Right.
But that's part of her learning process. So yeah, maybe I caused her some bodily harm there, but that's what her soul needed to learn her lesson. Whatever lessons she learned the first time with her knee injury, she didn't learn yet. And she needed to learn it again. So yeah, maybe I was the bearer of bad news, but that's the way I look at it now. I mean, like, some people might be like, okay, maybe you're fucked up from hitting someone, but I'm like, it's a sport. She signed up for it. We're
Right.
all learning lessons here.
Right. That's such a good perspective. I love that. Last question here. Quick advice that you'd give to our listeners if they're having a hard time hearing themselves in the midst of the noise of other people and other people's opinions and judgments of them in their life. How can people really hear themselves and trust their inner voice?
I would say if something that someone's telling you is bothering you, it's probably because you think it about yourself. Change whatever you're like, okay, maybe I feel like someone thinks I'm dumb or something. Okay, well then that's triggering you. You know you're not dumb, so then that's easy to let it go, right? Like someone calls me dumb, cool. Like I know I'm not. Like it's not.
Yeah.
Don't let it affect you. If you know it's like not true, don't let it affect you. But if it's something that you think that like it's really bothering you, now you're arguing with the person, it's clearly something that you need to change about yourself because you don't like it. So I would just say like always sit back and see why you're reacting some way because it's probably a reason. Like either it's upsetting you because you think it's true, or you need to learn to like not let it bother you because you know it's not. I don't know.
Yeah, that's huge. Just taking a step back and having that self-awareness and just being curious about your reactions to things. Very big.
Yeah, like if you give them that power and that energy, you're giving it to them. You don't have to.
Right.
So like don't give them that power, man.
Mhm. Yes, that's what it's all about. Keeping our power and using that to help other people find their power.
Yeah.
Yes,
Boom.
exactly. Well, thank you so much, Lindsey, for being on our show today. I'm going to put some links on the bottom for anybody who wants to learn more about pranic healing or connect with Lindsey on that, work with her, and find out more about Lindsey. You'll find all that info down below. So I just want to challenge you guys to share this with anybody who needs some inspiration in overcoming adversity and listening to their own voice amidst the noise and pursuing their dreams. Because if God didn't believe in you and your capability to make those dreams happen, he wouldn't have given them to you. So I want you guys to take them seriously. And yeah, so thank you again, Lindsey, and we'll see you guys on the next episode.
Thank you for having me.